we've learned that defending Repco Supercar champion Brodie Kostecki is going to replace him in the Shell V-Power Ford Mustang. Now, given the turmoil at Airbus Motorsport and missing the start of the 2024 season due to drama behind the scenes, a change of scenery was a must for Kostecki. I seem to remember earlier on in the year a certain Matt White saying free Brodie as the hashtag. Yeah, I thought so. He said he's excited to join the team with such a rich history of success. Now, while Dick Johnson added that Kostecki is one of the top drivers in the series, praising him for his mechanical sympathy and understanding of the car, Will Davison will also return to the team alongside his new teammate, and the photo courtesy there of Dick Johnson Racing. Now, in what has been a down, turbulent season with Airbus, will a change of scenery actually help Brodie Kostecki return to his winning ways? I'll start with you, Kobe.
Well, I guess Brodie's officially been freed, right? And just looking at Brodie this year throughout the season when he made his shock return after missing the start of the season, Brodie's looked very miserable at the track. Like looking at his mannerisms last year, previous years, he seemed very happy to be there at the track driving. But this year, you can see, you can see a smile on Brodie's face, but it kind of looks like a fake smile. It's like he's just smiling in front of cameras at everything and pretending that everything is great, but it really seems like Brodie hasn't been having any fun since all of the drama that's been happening behind the scenes with Airbus Motorsport. So I think that nobody really thought that Brodie Kostecki was going to stay at Airbus, after the end of this year. It was almost certainly that they were going to be parting ways, and that's exactly what happened. It's going to be weird seeing Brodie Kostecki in a Ford Mustang next year instead of a Chevrolet because, during this time in Supercars, that's all we've basically ever known. And to see him in one of those Chevy Power Fords next year, it's going to take a while getting used to that. But yeah, I think it'll be a good opportunity for him. I know Dick Johnson Racing hasn't been the same dominant force that they've been, in the last few years or so. They really haven't been the same since Scott McLaughlin left Supercars and went off to the IndyCar series, and also since Team Penske left Dick Johnson Racing as well. This team has kind of taken a step backwards in a way. Yeah, so I'm sure Dick Johnson Racing is going to continue to try to add people to the program, try to improve, and we'll see if they're able to be a regular contender once again instead of taking a race win every now and then. We could see them battling week in and week out, and I think that next year we could see Brodie Kostecki get back to where we usually see him, which is towards the front. I don't know if I'm going to say his winning ways yet, since Dick Johnson Racing, they're not always in contention weekly to win these races, but I think Brodie will be performing a lot better with them compared to where he's at now, because he seems like someone, I'm just fulfilling my obligations via my contract, and I'm just ready to get this over with, so I can move on to the next chapter. I think that's really where Brodie's at. He's just waiting for this to be over so he can move on to happier days in a new environment.
Free Brodie Kostecki. He's out at last at Erebus. You're right, Kobe. It was like he'd handed his notice in, but he was having to work until he was allowed to leave. And that's basically what this season has been about. If you'd sat here September last year, he was leading the championship, heading to endurance season, which is about to start in a couple of weeks at Sandown, and then we've got the big one at Bathurst, not so far away. All of that was, he had Will Brown as his teammate. They had Coca-Cola as a big partner at Erebus. They were leading the championship, leading the team's championship, and all of that in the couple of months towards the end of the year, as we talked about a lot on the show at the beginning of this year, it just crumbled around him. Then, of course, he misses the first two rounds of the Grand Prix and at Bathurst at the beginning of the year for the 500 because of the contract issues. Now he's back. He's just been going through the motions. He got a podium at Hidden Valley back in June, which was good to see him back. I said, I think at the time, if he's going to go anywhere, DJR are going to have to get in there first and try and get his signature, and they've done that. The surprising part to me about this, and I'll come to Adam's comment in a second, is that Will Davison has stayed, and Anton Di Pasquale, who was brought in off the back of Scott McLaughlin leading, as you mentioned, Kobe, since Scott and the Penske side of things left, it's just not been the same down there. Anton was brought in as the next, race-winning great hope for that team, and it hasn't happened for whatever reason. He's won a few races, but he's never really got through a championship and kept in the hunt, I guess, especially against Shane Van Gisbergen in the last couple of years. And now he's gone and he's going to Team 18, where Mark Winterbottom has left, or will be leaving there. So it's going to be the old Erebus team back together of David Reynolds and Anton at Team 18 next year. I like the move for Brodie to DJR, says Adam. He will win in 2025. Certainly will. I think like we've had all the parity stuff that's been going on back in the last year, beginning of this year. Ford are now in play, and we've seen that with Chaz Mosta over the last few rounds. He's in the hunt for the championship while driving a Ford. So, again, it's going to take Brodie a little while maybe to get used to the differences between the Camaro and the Mustang, but we saw how good he was last year to go on and win the championship. So there's absolutely no reason why he can't be maybe, the real next big thing for that team after Scotty Mack departing a few years ago. So I'm really excited to see what he can do.
It's all change in the motorsport world, and round about good time actually for Brodie, because we were worried about him all season long, and it was one of the first discussions we had. Well, what was it, back in March as well, wasn't it? Just after the opening race of the season, that Brodie wasn't there, and it was all rumored as to what exactly was going on. Why is he all of a sudden falling out after winning the championship? And he's now free. He is a free Brodie as well.